Dirtiest man has not bathed for 67 years to retain his wife's smell, died after his first wash in years. When we are not able to bathe for a day, we feel uncomfortable and would not like to leave our house until we do so. Bathing is our daily necessity, and it keeps us clean and protects us from common sicknesses. Our story today is about a man who decided not to take any shower for years, not because he doesn't want to be clean, but because of love. Usually, love makes people do crazy things, but I don't think that we have ever heard about someone who isn't taking showers for love. Although photos online have emerged of a man who has not bathed for 67 years. He admits that he stopped bathing when he was 20 years old and has gone through life with poor hygiene. 94-year-old AMU Haji was left heartbroken when he lost his wife to the plague in his 20s. Since his wife passed away, he stopped bathing to retain her smell on him. When Haji first met with his beloved wife, he was only 14 years old. His mother sent him to the neighbor's house to invite them over for dinner. The family was inviting everyone in the village for dinner. They were celebrating the return of the old brother of Haji's from the city where he was studying. The door was opened by a beautiful little girl. Haji forgot what he came to say. The beautiful girl asked him what he wanted, but Haji couldn't reply. He kept looking at her without saying anything. Suddenly, her mother showed up behind her and asked Haji if his mother sent him. Finally, Haji spoke and told them that they were all invited to the dinner. Haji left, but his heart was still there on the step of that door. On the dinner that night, everyone was interested that Haji's older brother was telling about the big city in Tehran. Everyone but Haji, who was looking for the beautiful girl who opened the door for him. He was looking for her among the guests. Suddenly, he found her. She was sitting among women, smiling and singing with them. Haji wanted to talk to her, but he didn't know what he could say, so he decided to leave before someone caught him while he was looking at the women. Haji became crazy about this girl. He couldn't think about anything else but this girl. So he started to ask his sister and his mother about her. He learned that her name was Dina and that she was 13 years old at the time. For someone who is living in a village in Iran, it isn't an easy thing to go and talk to a girl that you like. The only way to do that was to marry her, but he didn't have the money to do that. Haji wasn't going to the school like his older brother because he was helping his father in the farm. He was thinking about talking with his father about getting married at that young age, and after a lot of thinking, he decided to talk with his father. Haji's father didn't take him seriously, and he laughed when his son asked him to help him marry the girl that he loved. The reaction of his father left him heartbroken. He didn't know what to do. He got so sad and upset. Haji was so sad that he didn't eat, sleep, or go to the farm. His mother was the first one who noticed that he was having a bad time. Haji's mother could convince his father to listen to him after all. They agreed on talking to the girl's family in order to arrange the engagement of their daughter to Haji. Dina's family had one condition, which was waiting for until Dina turned 16 in order to get married. This was the happiest day in Haji's life, the day that he knew that finally he would be able to speak with Dina and see her whenever he wanted. Haji and Dina were still kids at the time, and in that way they loved each other innocently, the kind of love that stands forever and ever. In those 3 years, they got to know each other more and more, and Dina, from her end, has fallen in his love too. Dina and Haji started counting days until she turned 16 so that they could get married. The story of Haji and Dina isn't really interesting to anyone. Like millions of others, they got married after a long love story, but when Dina got sick, everything changed. Dina was so sick, and the doctors couldn't do anything for her. Haji was sad, especially that he couldn't do anything for her. After a long struggle, Dina died. After the death of his wife, Haji went crazy. He didn't want to talk or see anyone, and he took all of his clothes and decided to leave the village. Haji left and didn't know where he could go. Suddenly, he found himself in the desert, and he started to live there. He lived the rest of his life like a hermit, living in a cave in the desert of Iran. After all those years living in the desert, Haji was found by a journalist who was writing a report about the area around him. When the journalist saw him and learned his story, he forgot about the report that he originally came for and wrote an article about Haji. The authority also got interested in Haji, and they decided to help him out. The journalist mentioned that the only memory of his wife was her smell and never bathed since she passed. Although Haji does not wash, he likes to look at himself in the mirror to trim his hair and beard. Haji revealed that when he married, he was happy with his wife, and they were going to start a good life together as a couple when she died due to the plague. According to reports, Haji eats animals killed on the road, such as rabbits, pigs, porcupines, and the like. He resorts to water puddles for his refreshments and smokes cigars made from animal feces. Haji has not bathed for 67 years since he believes that it would bring bad luck. When news of Haji went viral and everyone was talking about it, a medical research team in Deja village, Fars province, decided to test him for major sicknesses such as hepatitis and AIDS, and studied him for any bacteria or parasite infestations, especially that the environment he lived in was considered poor. Surprisingly, his test results were all normal and he is healthy, with health inspectors suspecting that he has a strong immune system. In 2014, the authority that decided to help Haji made a brick shack in the desert for him and got him fresh food and water. The most important thing was that they made him take his first bath from years ago. It wasn't easy to give him the first shower in years. The locals helped the government by bringing him to a nearby river to bathe, but Haji literally jumped out of the car and ran away. The locals ran behind him so that they could get him back in the river. It was very important to the locals to give him that shower because he was living among them now. They thought that his condition could be bad for them and he must take a shower to live among them. With the help of the locals, the government succeeded in bathing him. Everyone was happy when they saw Haji getting out of the water. Even Haji himself experienced a feeling that he already forgot. They didn't know that this bath was about to end Haji's life. Days after this shower, Haji got very sick and he couldn't leave his bed. The medical team visited him again, but this time they couldn't find out what was wrong with him. Soon, Haji passed away at the age of 94 on October 25th. The locals held a proper funeral for him in Farishbad city, Fars. In the end, we must say that hygiene is one of the most important things in life, which is why you must take a shower regularly. It is important not only for your health, but to live in a society, you have to maintain your hygiene. How often you should shower depends on what kind of climate you live in and your everyday activities. If you live in hot areas, you will get sweaty easily. You will have to take a shower more often, whereas if you live in cold areas, taking frequent showers is impossible. Your lifestyle matters a lot before the frequency of showers can be determined. Depending on how hectic your work routine is, you will have to take a shower regularly. People can grieve, but Haji grieved extremely, and his grieving took him to another level away from humanity. Love is a beautiful thing, but in this story, it was horrible just because Haji took it very extremely.